I'm sure you've seen the latest news, Mr. Adams in particular. Now, it comes as no surprise that this type of activity went on within the Republican movement. But to say that Gerry Adams' brother has been involved just shows you the hypocrisy of the Republican movement. This has been known for a number of years. Now, it's unfortunate what happened to the young girl. No child should be treated like that. But these are the same people who judge who should live and who should die. Mr. Adams and his brother and other members of the Republican movement judge who should live and who should die. And I see now Mr. Adams is saying about his father. Now I wonder how the Americans feel who are sitting beside this man, who protected his brother, who was a well-known child molester within the Republican movement. And this is not the first one. There's a few other ones who are high up in the ranks, who are connected to people like Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness, who have not been touched because of their relations to these people. Well, this is a perfect example of the mafia, how the mafia works. If you're a self-made mafia man, you don't get touched. Well, this is the IRA. This is not about a cause. This is all about a wee group of sick individuals who have molested children and have got the protection of the Republican movement. Now, Gerry Adams knows exactly where he is. I can tell you where he is. He's in Dublin, or he was in Dublin a month ago. I don't know where he is at the minute. Now, I have to admit I didn't know about this, but I know he was in Dublin a month ago and had been working down there running certain rackets for the Republican movement. So Gerry needn't deny that he doesn't know where he is, because he does know where he is. And I have to raise, if people remember the major problem I had with a Father Reid, who stood up and called the Protestant people Nazis, in a conversation me and him had, he told me that he was Gerry Adams's private spiritual advisor. And I said, well, you haven't done much of a job. I certainly wouldn't use it for a reference if you were going to any other job. He took it very badly. But then, did Father Reid know? If he has been 25 years his private spiritual advisor, obviously he also knew what was going on. And then we'll deal with Father Troy. Unbelievable that a man of the cloth from the Catholic Church, given the situation of what's going on within the Catholic Church at the minute, the number of paedophiles that has been exposed, and the Catholic Church being riddled with molesting young children, young boys, young girls, and even right up to the adult age, that if another priest would go to a door and ask a member of this family to approach this young girl not to go to the police, and then he has amnesia, he can't remember doing it. Now, I would ask you to judge the situation yourselves. And this is not me trying to make things up. It's in the media, it's out there in the public domain. I would ask you to sit down and judge it yourself. How did this happen? Given the security forces intelligence, how's come they never exposed the like of this, especially coming up to an election time for Gerry Adams? Well, I'd let you draw your own conclusion to that. Now, any other self-righteous person, no matter what their cause is, would resign, no matter what they believed in. If they had any decency in them whatsoever, they would resign. But no, not this man. This man believes that they can do whatever they want, and their family and people within their so-called Irish Republican Army, if they're high enough up the ladder, can get away with these type of things. Well, I would ask our politicians to take a good look at what's sitting across the room from them. The other thing Gerry Adams said, which I found very interesting, was that the perpetrator in this case cannot be on an equal footing as the victim. In other words, you cannot compare the perpetrator to the victim.
Any suggestion in some way that the perpetrator was on the level par with the victim is mistaken. That was never and is not my position.
Now, I accept what happened to this young girl was desperate, but blowing a child apart is every bit as bad, and matter of fact, probably a lot worse, because hopefully that young girl will be able to put her life back together. But you can't put a body back together. But Gerry Adams thinks the perpetrator that carried out that act is on the same level as the child that was blew to pieces. Talk about hypocrites. Now, I'm not making this up. This is all in the public domain, so you can check it all out for yourself. But you want us to trust these people? You think that if these people tell us that everything's okay, that we should believe them? When a man allows his niece to be molested for 20 odd years by his brother and does nothing about it, and then tries to say that he doesn't know where he is, when he knows quite well that he's running operations in Dublin for the IRA. Heaven help us if these are the type of people that ever takes control in Northern Ireland. But the fact that we're going to give them the right to look after policing and justice, certainly won't be on my name, and I know for a fact it'll not be on quite a few people's names from both sides of the community. Because if Gerry had been doing his duty, this is nothing to do with a cause, he would have took his brother to the PSNI or to the RUC. He didn't. He told him where to go to get outside, and then he sent a priest to his door to try and cover up the whole thing. Or in other words, that hopefully Father Troy could have talked the family out of actually pushing this case. It's an utter and total disgrace.